Hey YouTube, I'm back and I hope you're ready for part 2. In the last episode, I was talking about Stephen Hassan's bite model. As you know, I'm a mega church cult survivor. I spent 18 years in a mega church cult, and now I come online and I expose their church cult tactics so that people can be aware and keep safe in abusive environments. So I've been speaking about Stephen Hassan's bite model, which is how cults assert authoritarian control over the masses and over members. We went through behavior control and information control. And if you want to go and check out that video, it's on my page and it's the video before this. So now we're going to be moving into thought control. So what does that mean? And how do cult leaders assert thought control over the masses? You have to remember, these are high control environments. Cults are high control environments. And these are what these church cults are disguised as. So they have to assert authoritarian control using tactics and methods. And they form characteristics which help us to analyze if the group is a church or a cult. So thought control is where they teach you to internalize the group doctrine as truth, like a sacred science. Now in my church cult, welcome Queen Ines, welcome Corpele. Guys, please like up the live. It's really important. Hey RFS tables. So this truth, thank you, bro. This sacred truth or this sacred knowledge, they will esteem the pastor as like God's chosen servant, the anointed one, prophet, apostle, teacher, whatever. They'll usually have another name. And this feeds into the characteristics of cults because the first characteristic is that they have a charismatic cult leader. They'll show honor, which will be worship. It's like there's a celebrity culture in these church cults. Hey, Queen. And that's why the mega church has turned into like it's a laughing stock. It's like Hollywood. So this is also the thought. We can also talk about the thought reform program. So in my cult, how they get you to internalize the group doctrine is through their thought reform program. So they usually have like new believers school. My cult takes it a step further and they actually have exams. So we have to do exams on the prophets books, which is loyalty and disloyalty, lay people in the ministry, mega church. I forget the other one. I always forget the last one, but there's another book, and there's about 4 books that we have to pass. And the main doctrine that they do up the thought control and the thought reform program through is the loyalty and disloyalty doctrine. And they do a lot of currency exchange in these cults. So what he does is he exchanges the meaning of things and he uses propaganda to shape and frame his own rhetoric. So he's got this book called Loyalty and Disloyalty, and he grooms the cult into thinking that loyalty is love. He then manipulates and twists the scriptures, and he uses other versions like ERV, VVV, like versions that you've never heard of in your life, chair, to fit the rhetoric. Because in that version, it doesn't say faithfulness and it doesn't say love, it says loyalty. For example, there was a scripture, I knew I should have bought my Bible. There was a scripture about and it was speaking to Solomon. I think it was in Proverbs about him building his kingdom with loving kindness and faithfulness. And Dag's taken that, found the ERV version that has loyalty in it, and said that to establish a kingdom, we need loyalty. And then they bring in order, then they bring in obedience, then they bring in submission. Do you see how they start to control the way you think? And so that is why there is thought control and thought reform. Instilling black and white thinking. So us versus them, good versus evil thinking. With you're either for us or against us. They do this with the world. That's why now the world is healing. There's gal them, like I was saying before, I'm celibate. I don't have no man them coming in my house. What they need to do is focus on the gal them, the retired 304s that haven't healed from their trauma. They've come to church on Sunday, said the sinner's prayer, and now they're coming to church every day and they think that they're more saved or more pure or more holy than me. And I've been celibate for almost 2 years. So now when said gal starts to get her back blown out because she gave her testimony last week and the preds in the church heard that she'd been ran through like a train. So now they've started to target her and started to use and abuse that girl because there's no safeguarding, and they don't understand that they're getting vulnerable young people to expose their business, and there's preds in there and they're not interested in safeguarding people. They haven't got the time. They have to go out and win the souls because guess what? Bums on seats equals coins. That's why. But they'll be indoctrinated. Oh, John 3:16. We're going to do greater works than Christ. Doing greater works than Christ is embodying the characteristics of Christ, his consciousness, his mindset, loving your neighbor, giving the shirt off your own back. Yeah. When I was naked, did you clothe me? When I was hungry, did you feed me? Because you lot, instead of feeding the homeless, you're going on the roadside and you're abusing people, standing right next to the homeless and not feeding them. And do you know what, Queen Ines? I'm so glad I didn't do that content on that guy, because now I got some other content of him when a grown man is coming to to question him and challenge him, and he spoke very differently. So these are the kind of feminine BITCHASS guys that I'm talking about. When it's a guy, when it's a man that comes, they tone it down. But when it's a female, they want to be running their mouth. They want to be running their gums. I hope I come into contact with one of these so-called aggressive street preachers, because I want to see if he's able to shout over this mouth with a microphone, because I've been gifted with the voice, yeah. And no one's gonna sing over this voice, baby. This voice projects, baby. I'll sing over you, sweetie pie. I don't need a microphone. You know them ones. You want to be trying to talk over me? Hey, Esther. They change your identity, possibly even your name. Now, in my cult, they just be changing names. All of the women that become Episcopal sisters get given a new name. It's like you belong to them. There's a possession thing. There's a guy in the church called, they changed his name to Caleb. I can't remember what his first name is. Bishop Richard changed LP Marcella's name to Christiana. LP Ida's name used to be Grace. So they literally are changing you as a person. If they change the way you think, that's your identity. How you think, carrying on the culture, carrying on the truth, the wisdom that's been passed down from generations, using loaded language and cliches to stop critical thought. It's a message. Eesh. You know, all of the stuff that they do, like they got these little cult jargon and phrases. And, you know, when I was speaking about the spiritual currency exchange, they change the meaning of things. So it all gets confused and becomes very distorted in our minds because they change the meaning of things. It's a completely different world. See, like how out here, the currency, like pretty girls, pretty privilege, you get what you want. In the church cult, it's demonized. So you need to dumb yourself down as a woman, and you need to make yourself plain Jane. And the thing is, when pretty girls are getting demonized, it's so sad because we can't do anything about our face, babe. These are the faces that we're born with. Just like women who are curvy, when they're demonizing curvy women because it's like they're lustful or they're trying to whatever the man, this, that, and they can't change their body, babe. There's people who are paying thousands of pounds to get bodies like that. There's nothing they can do about it. That's the body that they've been born with. So when you're targeting people and breaking people down and making people feel lesser than, and telling guys that basically they will look worldly or like they're just into body if they marry a woman with body, it's absolutely ridiculous. That's why all of the men are having affairs in there, and that's why they're in single married relationships. They're in celibate marriages. There's no intimacy. And the whole reason why they got married was to avoid fornication and to flee from youthful lust, because they're burning eggshally. So they got married for that reason. Then when they get into the marriage, they're not even getting their needs satisfied. It's a lie. And they know it. That's why they're trying to get me off the net, man. You're just sitting there pressed. You're sitting there pressed. You get me? Because you know that your wife, you're not blowing out your wife's back. Oh, Patrick, you're just dusty. You're just a neat. You're going to get removed now. Are you happy? You've come in and said your little bit, Pat. Now you're going to get removed. That's insanity. Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. I've been searching for you. I'm glad that I found you, boy. I've been searching for you. I'm so happy, baby. I don't care. Does this face look like it curs? Do I look like a cur? I don't care. Okay, so they induce hypnotic or trance states to indoctrinate. So that's all the mind altering. That's all the jabba yabba babu soto pat that you be doing up in your hut like churches, yeah? So it's easier to indoctrinate when they got people in mind altered, sleep deprived states. I also want to throw fasting in there, because that also kind of like slows down the brain. It distorts your reality. That's where people get delusional. They start to go into like spiritual psychosis, because I know of survivors who have not eaten for like 21 days. Let me quickly tell you about the youth. Reverend Gino in Apache, he's neglected his kids since the beginning of time, and his wife LP Lois, who was allegedly having an affair with Pastor Victor back in the day, like the 90s. You little first lovers wouldn't know nothing about that. Anyway, he declared a fast for the youth that used to be in Apache. Now, guys, this fast was just water. It was supposed to be for a month. The parents started complaining, Then he let them start breaking it with a piece of bread and porridge. Now, there was a girl who was about a size 18. No word of a lie to you guys. Within 2 weeks, this girl went down to like a size 10. By the end of the fast, she had gone down to like, she was as thin as me. Like she looked ill. But we would just see them and think, oh, wow, cognitive dissonance. Oh, they look a bit skinny. Are they starving? Oh, no. It's all right because they're serving the Lord. This is a spiritual practice. Do you see how your mind gets distorted? Because you're so indoctrinated. Like everyone's lacking sleep. We're getting like barely 2 hours sleep a night. We're in the church until 3 a.m., 1 a.m., 2 a.m. Back in the day, we didn't have internet. There was no internet alternative. No live streaming, no Androids, no TikTok, no Facebook, none of that. Facebook might have been around, Insta weren't around. When I joined, Instagram hadn't been invented, or it had just been invented. Hey, Queen Ange. So we have to factor in all of these. That's why I've got the voices of the OGs coming real soon, where I'm going to be talking about this week. I'm going to be exposing a lot of the historic abuse that has gone on in Lighthouse Chapel International. And I'm going to be exposing people to the historic cult and all of the abuses under that. So let's get into it. So when cult leaders want to take over the minds of people, they do that in a mass way. Love you, Ange. Thanks for the gift. Are you hating YouTubers? So they teach thought stopping techniques to prevent critical thoughts and reality testing. They teach thought stopping techniques. So again, they're getting you to question your reality. They're gaslighting you. A lot of the time as well, they're just basically in these cults, what they do up is they change the meaning of things. So they're getting you to question your thought process all the time. Is that making sense, guys? So it gets you to like, you're almost like questioning your reality constantly. Allow only positive thoughts. Oh my God, this is why when you come into a church, they're like this all day. Oh my God, I can't believe it. It's so much energy in your stomach. By the end of church, your cheeks are hurting, your feet are swollen, your feet are aching, you're on your feet. But because you're just constantly on the go, you're not clocking that this is wearing you out energetically, like mind, body, and soul. Your mind, your body, your spirit, everything is pushed to the absolute limit in these places. They will dictate to you how you feel. In my cult, in the loyalty and disloyalty doctrine, it's like you're disloyal. It's like if you come, you can't win. If you've just been rebuked from the office and they've just broken you down psychologically, you just want to sit in the back of the church, just have a minute to yourself, like you've been crying, your face is puffy. They'll tell you you're passive. They'll even tell you in the preaching, why are you sitting in the back? In front of everyone will turn around and look you. Come to the front. You have to come and sit in the front. They'll call you out, public humiliation. It never stops. They never stop breaking you down. They never stop berating you. You're passive. If you're on your reds and it's the worst pain that you've ever felt in your life and you just want to sit in the back of the church, you've got a problem. You're disloyal. If you stop attending meetings, you're disloyal. They start looking at you like the enemy. So it's like you're on this conveyor belt. It's like it's a rat race. You're on this machine and you've got to keep going and going and going. There's never any time to stop. So they want you to be thinking positively. That's why when people unalive, like it could be your mum that unalives, you could lose your child. It's like they want you to come in and be happy. Like the joy of the Lord. People have emotions. People need to let out the trauma. Trauma gets stored in the body. The body keeps the score. That's why a lot of people like me, my nan unalived in like 2000, I don't even know when it was, 2002, 2004, Miss L Rose in the car. I'm just grieving my nan. Like, I'm processing it now. My boyfriend that unalived in 07, I'm processing it now. I was not allowed to grieve. I was not allowed to go to the graveyard. I was not allowed to talk about it. Later, get over it. You getting over grief, trauma, bereavement, whatever, apparently shows that you're a strong Christian. Suppressing your emotions and letting it get stored up in your body. That's why most of the women in these church cults, they've got serious health issues. A lot of women struggle to conceive in these church cults because they're washed up and washed out. They're rinsed out in these church cults. Their bodies are just pushed. So what happens is there's a lot of people in there with underlying health conditions, but they leave it because it's like, you got to have faith. The prosperity gospel says you're going to be rich, you should be healthy, that you shouldn't have any infirmities, blah, blah, blah. So people are believing in God. They're believing in the prophet for healing. They've got underlying issues like fibroids, endometriosis, this, and that. They're not getting checked because they're believing in the healing from the pastor. So by the time they get married and they're trying to conceive and they can't, that's when they're now going to get checked. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's also the stress. A lot of these women are not emotionally or actually or physically, they're not attracted to their husbands. They're not emotionally, because there's a lot that goes into conception, innit? And some women just can't have kids and that's okay. Do you know what I mean? Some people are supposed to adopt. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I'm not saying that that's what the main cause is, but I've seen a lot of women and survivors that have come out and are going through this actively. Yeah. So the information that when I'm talking about this, this is taken from my review that I'm currently doing at the moment on church cults. All right. They get freaky with me. They use excessive meditation, singing, prayer, and chanting to block thoughts. So a thought blocker is and guys, there's nothing wrong with meditation. There's nothing wrong with prayer. There's nothing wrong with singing, and there's nothing wrong with chanting. But when it's done to an excessive point, like you see it in RPF, is such a good example of it. They're just in delirious, mind-altered states. They just look like they're in trance-like states, like just walking around, like they're like this in RPF. Do you know what I mean? And it's that constant, because I think he's a musician, because he sings and he plays some sort of instrument. So they do up a lot of musical, mystical manipulation in there. And what that does, guys, is it's just constantly filling your mind. Do you understand what I'm saying? And there's a lot of hidden subliminal things as well. They use it to manipulate people to get them into like, and you can even go into like dark spirituality here and say that you're, there could be out of body experiences. People start to become possessed by different spirits because they're really open in the realm of the spirit. So some content that I will be doing this week will be kind of doing a cross analysis of the hoodoo and voodoo culture and Pentecostalism, because a lot of hoodoo practices were actually hidden in the Black church through slavery. So, for example, Harriet Tubman was a hoodoo practitioner and led the slaves to be free. And then also, because they weren't allowed to practice their traditional spiritual practices, they hid it in a lot of the practices that they're doing up in Pentecostalism. So I'm going to be exposing that up this week. I just want them to be honest, just like Catholicism, that's just pagan occult worship. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's the J wasn't even in the alphabet. Christ's name was Yeshua, actually. Do you get it? So it's the Roman god that they've packaged like a cheap McDonald's meal to sell to people. That's what they did. Like, there's the pagan holidays, they replaced it with Christian holidays. I'm not saying that they're doing up pagan worship, but it was a pagan worship festival before, like an annual holiday, and they changed it so that they could amalgamate the pagan worship. That's why Christmas, we have pagan rituals, the Christmas tree, the wrapping of presents, the lights. It came from the festival of lights. So they incorporated it into it. Again, don't demonize other people's practices. Don't demonize what other people live with and what they're choosing to believe in when you're being a straight outright hypocrite. Because and then when we want to talk to you about the truth, it doesn't matter. We are honored and blessed that the white man has allowed us to have a holiday in this country. This is a Christian nation, and it is good. It is good that we get to work. It's just pathetic, really, when you think about it. When you see this very Roman pagan Eurocentric view of Jesus Christ, it's really sad, because we didn't go to church in suits and whatever. We come from Africa, babes. We're outside. We're in nature, Jaya. Anyway, that's a different story for a different day. I do want to stay on topic with what we're talking about, because you know me, I can go into many different spheres and facets. It's so multifaceted, church cults. It's so intersectional. There's so many layers of the onion to unpeel. Yes. And environments are not healthy for neurodivergence, especially when they're performing exorcisms. It can be overstimulating. Wow. It's going to be so much easier to indoctrinate a neurodivergent person through the bite model, that authoritarian control. And I'll go through the influence continuum, because I could bet my life on it that I'm neurodivergent. And we take things literally. Like when Heward Mills was saying that those are the same trousers and the same shoes that he had been wearing for years and years, I believed it. I took it literally. When he was saying that he doesn't make money from the church, it's all God's house, all going to God, I believed it quite literally and took it in. It was only when I married my ex-husband, like 8 years into being in the cult, that he said to me, "Oh, Bishop Richard's a rich man. Bishop Dag's a rich man." He started to get my mind going, and I was like, "No, he's not. What are you talking about?" And when you break down the maths and you look at how much money you're getting in, it's like, whoa. I don't know why I got into all of that, but yeah, neurodivergents are like some of the most vulnerable groups. to get recruited and exploited and rinsed and rinsed. Because especially when we get into a routine, if you give a neurodivergent someone like a neurodivergent person a job, we enjoy tasks and having routines, and do you know what I mean? That sense of community, finding it really hard to like build and form relationships. Some people have like social anxiety. I mean, the list goes on, and they're love bombing and they're fake in there. So when people come out, they just fall apart because they've been fake. They remember I told you there was that member that I had, yeah, and he was so severely autistic that when you would speak to, like, he would just come up to you, just be like, "Hi, Leah, how is it? I was just in the park for 5 hours yesterday, and then I went to the supermarket and I went to Lidl's and I got." He doesn't. "Hi, Leah, how are you?" Just, "Hi, Leah, I went to the supermarket on Saturday, and then afterwards I went and I played football with my friends, and then we were there for like 2 hours. But do you know what? I don't care though. I don't care though. I'm just with my friends because I'm with my friends and I'm going around." And then he's talking like this for a good 5 minutes. I'm not saying this as a joke. I'm not saying. I'm trying to act out so you lot get it. It gets in the brain. These are the kind of vulnerable people that they are recruiting. They don't even understand the decisions that they're making, but because of friendship and community, they're there. It's so sad. I think about that boy all the time. He's still in there. It absolutely haunts me. All right, I can get through this. Reject rationale analysis, critical thinking, and constructive criticism. As I said to you, I could use Heward Mills, just the one book, The Loyalty and Disloyalty Doctrine, to show you from that one book how a cult leader uses the Thought Reform program. Maybe I should do that. Should I do a live tomorrow on the Loyalty and Disloyalty Doctrine? I will. I'm going to break down how they use it, how they stop your critical thinking, to reject your rationale analysis and constructive criticism. Because what he does is he does the spiritual currency exchange in there, and he gives you like the rules, like the rules of the house. And it's like they want you to embody this submission, this obedience, this codependency on the cult leader, and see him as the absolute infallible ultimate truth at the very top, because loyalty is to the highest authority. And he puts it clearly in the book, as clear as day. And the way how they know that you're a spiritual daughter of the house and you've caught the spirit, which is the spirit of the cult leader, you have to take on the pseudo personality. You have to understand loyalty and disloyalty. And to understand that doctrine, you will see it as a doctrine of control, criticism, abuse, this and that. Until you're a spiritual daughter or son of the house, you can receive the doctrine in a certain way. How they indoctrinate us and they groom us is like, you need to, when you catch the anointing, and then they teach you about catching the oil, and you know, it's like, then there's like ranking, spiritual ranking and positions. It's a pyramid scheme. So the ones that are more anointed are the ones that are closer to the pastor, are acting more like the cult leader, are knowing more about things that happen within the cult and about the cult leader. So people are learning through social learning and through social conformity. They have to conform socially, and they learn through the social environment because they are repeating. They're learning through repetition. That's why a lot of people aren't really speaking in tongues. They're just copying. All the tongue sounds the same. They're speaking gibberish. It's clanging cymbals. So that's why your prayers aren't working, unfortunately. That's why when you lot are doing mind-altered practices, you know what? I actually want to get the name for what it's called. Just bear with me, because every time I'm on here, I need to keep this page open, chair. Guys, there's a lot I want to get through today. Speaking in tongues, scientific name. There's a scientific name for it. Here we go. The scientific term for speaking in tongues is glossolalia. It refers to the vocalization of speech-like sounds that are not readily understood as known language. Glossolalia is often associated with religious experiences, particularly within Pentecostal and charismatic Christian traditions. Yeah, so it's just sounds, syllables that lack any recognizable meaning or grammatical structure. So linguists have studied and found that while it might resemble human language, it doesn't adhere to the typical rules of grammar or syntax. So scientific explanations. Some scientific perspectives suggest that glossolalia may be learned behavior, like I was saying, just copying the tongues. That's why, exactly, girl. That's why they'll say, oh, just say it. just speak in faith, just speak in faith. When they're telling you to speak in faith, in other words, they're telling you make it up, just say what you hear. So it may be a learned behavior or a disassociative psychological state, while others explore potential links to stress reduction techniques. So again, also the movement of the tongues can cause brain damage. You're not supposed to be doing this for long amounts of time. Studies using, so this is neuroscience research, studies using brain imaging techniques have shown that speaking in tongues can be associated with changes in brain activity, particular in areas related to self-control and emotional processing. A lot of them don't have self-control in there. They're blowing out the backs of each other in there. Do you know what I mean? Like they're all sleeping with each other. In Caris, they got like one girl's got 2 baby daddies. One's her ex-boyfriend and the other one she's married in the church girl, and he's remarried to another girl. That's how it gives INCEST vibes. They're all marrying each other and all their kids are related. It's absolutely crazy when there's billions of people on this planet. Billions of people on this planet, but you still seem to share the same baby daddy. Why? Because you're in a cult. That's why. That's what cults do, chair. Do you get it? I think it was definitely worth looking that up, wasn't it, guys? Because, and again, let's go back to it quickly, actually. This just makes me disassociate. I just get shivers all down myself. So changes in brain activity, and this is related to self-control and emotional processing. So they're able to manipulate you, emotionally manipulate you, and they are master manipulators. They use a lot of the emotional manipulation, the mind-altered practices, the speaking in tongues. It's putting us in these states for hours and hours and hours, and this is why I even disassociate to this day. Like, you're so used to being in, like disassociative states. So when you're in there, you don't even clock it because you're so disassociated. All right. Ooh, do you really know what a dog needs? A dog needs what? A dog needs not just any, but a real that's going to hold it. Ew. Yeah, I am what I am. I'm going to be who I be. Oh, I love DMX. I'm so glad DMX and Aaliyah did a little tune before they deleted that chair. All right, we're on the last one, and that's emotional control. And then I think I'm going to do the influence continuum. I'm going to go and take a break, guys, and I'm going to come back on and I'm going to change the account. Let's get it. I think I might do all of my accounts today because I'm just doing cult psycho ed. So I'm on my best behavior. All right. And guys, I think we're going into a season of cult psycho ed. I'm going to be teaching cult psycho education this week, putting out a lot of content around cult psycho ed, because I think a lot more people are leaving, and I think I'm putting out a lot of exposure, and I've been putting out a lot of content in awareness and letting people know exactly what's going on. But now I need to do a little bit around deconstruction and deprogramming. I'm going back to my old school, when I first came out, chair. All right. So the last part of the BITE model is emotional control. They want to control your emotions. And guys, put in the chat, why do you think they want to control your emotions? Or why do you think they were controlling your emotions? This promise to me, you make it back in one piece, piece, piece. All right. So they instill irrational fears of questioning. You've got to do what you do. You make your moves, I'll make my moves, I'll be cool. Hands on your back, I got your back if you want. Hey, nothing's to do, let's go ball. Hey. Oh, no one can come and have any chat for me about Aaliyah chair. All right, so with the emotional control, they instill irrational fears of questioning or leaving the group, phobia, indoctrination, phobia of being excommunicated, phobia of going into the big bad world and getting swallowed up, phobia of the devil sifting you as you've been in somewhere like me for 18 years. It's like being locked up. They can't let me out. No, you have to reintegrate back into society because you are in a time warp. If you got locked up in 2016, 2014, whatever, you don't have that with the outside world. And that's what a self-sealing system is. They control you psychologically. They mentally imprison you. Okay, so on YouTube, they say the reason why the cult leader wants to emotionally control you is to keep us obedient, dependent, and addicted to the cult. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you for your contribution. They also do up emotional control to make you feel elitist and special. So love bombing, they will make you feel like God has chosen you and saved you and set you apart from everybody, and you're on this mission to go out and win the lost at any cost, and you're the chosen generation, and Christ has given his life for you and shed his precious blood, and now you got to win the souls at any cost, and they're giving you targets and asking you how many people you're bringing on Sunday, and they're telling you how beautiful you are, how proud they are of you, how anointed you are, how far you've come, that you're anointed. They see great things in store for you. It's just, they wrap you up. If you want to know what love bombing is, go and visit any of these Pentecostal church cults, Charis, First Love, RPF. Go and visit one of those. Do you get what? You will see love bombing in real time, in real life, begging, desperation. Promote, like, guys don't like desperate gal them. They'll blow out your back. They'll use you and rinse you out for what you've got, and then 3 years later tell you why, when you're crying, asking for more, telling you what you don't know why you thought you lot were in a relationship, because you've been going around to the man's yard, cooking for him, buying him stuff, doing everything and the most. Men don't like a beggar. Promote feelings of guilt, shame, and unworthiness. So that's the breaking down. Like, you're never good enough. You'll find it, like, you could have bust your ASS to go and get 5 souls. You know how hard it is to recruit, to go out onto the street, speak to someone, get past that fear, get a number, get them to come to church on Sunday. Just even one person. They don't even value souls. Because souls, that's the spiritual currency exchange. That's what equals money. Souls equals money. And I'm in the process of writing a book, so this is all going to be in the book. But so souls equal money. So that's the spiritual currency exchange. So they break you down and beat you down to make you feel like if you're not winning these souls and you're not talking to people, that you're not doing God's work. And these people are perishing, going to HELL, and are going to spend an eternity in hellfire and damnation because of you, because you haven't spoken to them. They put that pressure and they put that guilt and they put that condemnation on people. So when people are trying to escape the cult, they'll tell them that they're backsliding and going back to vomit, like dogs go back to their vomit. And they'll tell you, when you're just trying to have a good time, go out, maybe, I don't even friggin' know, you'll feel like you're sinning, because the way they program you is to be like robots. So you've constantly got to be working for the Lord. No one has any side hustles. No one has hobbies. No one has anything outside of the church cult. I'm not talking about people who come on Sunday. You lot don't know ish. You are spectators. You are civilians. The people that I'm talking about, it's like gangs. Like, if you're not in the gang, they call you a civilian. Do you understand what I'm saying? If you're not in the inner folds, the part of the church where you're going to the pastor's house, you're in the office, you're around the pastor when he's finished preaching and his top buttons are all undone, and he's sitting in there just chilling and eating with you. These are the people I'm talking about, yeah? You lot are civilians. If you've been coming to the church and you're not that close to the pastor, please, you won't understand what I'm talking about. You would have experienced cult characteristics and exposure to cult abuse, but if you haven't been brought into the fold, you won't know what I'm going on about. Hey, Tenny, do you get what I'm saying? So please, oh, my pastor's not like that. You don't even know your pastor. How about that? Are you transferring money? Are you going out with your pastor's wives and buying uniform that costs £3 and selling it to people for £20 a pop? Are you doing that up? Are you going to Hilton and paying two racks, 2 grand? Are you going and setting up the photo booth for the Christmas ball? And then you know how much it is, and then they're 2 bills, and then they're charging people £20, £10 for a picture, making quadruple, and that's all going into the church coffers. Are you doing up that? Okay. Are you taking the pastor's card to go and buy food in the shop? Is the pastor trusting you with his card? Elicit extreme emotions, highs and lows. So they do this through silent treatment, like, as well, where you walk on eggshells. So they'll be like silent, and it's to control your emotions. It's to control how you feel, how you react, and then for you to constantly be like in fight or flight mode. That's the highs and the lows, and walking on eggshells. Okay, so that's why I had to make up stuff, because when I was a single woman, I had loads to tell my pastor, because I was single. I was getting, like, thinking temptations, like love. Now when I'm married, I don't have like those issues. So why do you want me to be talking about that? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, they want you to make up things. Label someone's emotions as evil, worldly, sinful, or wrong. So they do this with LGBTQ plus a lot as well. and just young people that just have normal feelings, actual feelings as they're growing, developing. They'll demonize it. They'll demonize the woman. They'll say she's a Jezebel. She's a Delilah. She's come to steal your anointing. She wants to ruin your ministry. It's just two young people in the church that fancy each other, but they demonize everything. They're hyper religious environments. So everything is very hyper religious. It's very fanatical, radical. EXTRESI. I don't even know if I'm spelling it right. Christianity. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like Mormonism, like Jehovah's Witness, very radical. Teach emotion stopping techniques to prevent anger or homesickness. So they remember that time when I told you I went to the pastor's funeral, and he was a young pastor, and I just got triggered because I hadn't been to a funeral since my boyfriend who got unalived in police custody. It brought back a plethora of emotions. It was just a rushing of, it was like PTSD. I was back at the cemetery. I was back there. My 19-year-old self dressed how I was. I was just back there. I was like in that time. And I just started hyperventilating by the time I got back to the church, because I had to suppress my emotions during that whole time. And then when I got back to the church, I just collapsed, like not physically, but just like mentally. I called my mum. I was crying on the phone, and my mum, that was the first time my mum had witnessed any type of emotion from me for years, like could have been 10 years. And so also it's been hard for my family to see me as, you know, so vulnerable and, you know, like broken down. And because I've been the one always to fix things in the family, and, you know, my dad not being around and being the eldest sibling and whatever. And it was heartbreaking. But my family, the thing that I realized is that I don't need to be strong, because as a family, we're a unit and we come together. But they kind of teach you to be this like leader and this soldier and this, you know, taking care of it. So I kind of felt like, you know, I was the manager of the family because no one was saved. And like, they get you to assume these roles that it's, you know, it's not your responsibility. It's not your business. But they just give you this fake authority. You think it's absolute lunacy, absolute lunacy. You'll have a 15-year-old person. Oh, thanks, Miss Elrose. I feel like calling you Melrose. You're such a Rose. She's just on there blocking people, Chair. The 15-year-old daughter will think that she's more knowledgeable than her mum and got something to teach her mum. These times she's been in her mum's stomach for 9 months, swimming around in there, and she's come out of her mum's vagina. But here she is thinking that she has some sort of sacred science, some sort of special anointing and knowledge from the man of God, the prophet. And so now she's judging her mum for having a man, her big grown-ass mum, you know, that carried her for 9 months. Now she's judging her mum because they're not married and her mum's living in sin. These church cults are wild. And then they start worshipping the pastor, mummy, daddy, and looking at their mum like a sinner because they got a boyfriend. These times their mum literally unalived and came back to life, giving birth to you. And you can't even respect your own mother. You're showing more respect to the pastor than your own mother. And the pastor's not paying the electricity, not paying the water bill in the yard. Your mum's paying for everything. Your school uniform, to put shoes on your foot, a shirt on your back. Your mum is displaying more of the characteristics of Christ towards your ungrateful ass than the pastor. Because when you're naked, she's clothing you. She's giving you the shirt off your own back. She's feeding you when you're hungry, baby. But you're not taking any of that into consideration, are you? You're there worshipping the pastor because he's indoctrinated you to believe that he's feeding you spiritually. Oh, and then man cannot live off bread and bread alone. So it's good that your mother feeds you. You need bread, but you cannot live off bread alone. So your spiritual father, we come in with a purpose and an anointed and authority over your life. So that honor your mother and father. Like, maybe where with you? These are also a type of mother and father. You see how they twist and manipulate it. So then you got people like Patrick, grown-ass men on YouTube, sitting on YouTube, typing, being a troll, like a gyal, like a princess. You got big grown men sitting on YouTube, sitting there doing that. Can you imagine that, how pathetic you have to be doing that up? Shun you if you disobey. Guys, I'm going to restart TikTok because I've got some real idiots and dusty, washed up, feminine men who do, you know what, Patrick, yeah, you should go and learn how to satisfy your wife instead of being on here commenting up in the comments. Go and read some books or watch something watch how to satisfy your wife, because a lot of the women in there, and get a DNA test if you're married as well, because Bishop E.A.T. Saki allegedly was sleeping with a bishop's wife for a good 14 years, Chair. Yeah. And they did the DNA test allegedly, and all 3 of them kids are E.A.T. Sakis. Why does E.A.T. Saki have to be put in buildings with all glass so everyone can see through? Because apparently he's a pred, allegedly. Jeremy Saki and EAT Saki were allegedly sleeping with Ida, and allegedly the kids could be Jeremy Saki's. So when you're coming on here having some chat for me, what you need to do, babe, is you need to go and sort out your own house. Yeah? Before you start coming in and chatting off your mouth. Because me and mine are good. The emotional control is that they shun you if you disobey or believe. So again, that's the excommunication. Everyone has a fear of being excommunicated. Do you understand what I'm saying? Being seen as the disloyal one. If you disobey or you talk against the environment, they're gonna brand you as disloyal. They're gonna keep you out of certain groups. They're gonna push you to the side. You're now gonna be an outsider. And when you come into these groups and you make these groups your life, your whole life consists and revolves around the church cult. This really starts to affect people's mental health, because they make people codependent. They set people up to fail. They make people codependent on the environment, and they form trauma bonds with people. So it makes it really, really hard for people to have their independence. I remember coming out of the cult. In the early days, and I wanted to get some glasses. Funnily enough, these were some of the this was one of the glasses that I got. And I remember being in Specsavers and just breaking down, because it was I didn't know what I liked. I didn't have style. And these glasses are very like bog standard, like your normal. Do you get what I'm saying? These ones are all right though. I do always like the cat eye. You know, I'm fashionable no matter what chair. But my point is, they're not the most interesting glasses. And you lot know I'm an absolute creative. Like now, I would, like, when I go to get my new glasses, I'll probably choose bright green or, you know, bright pink ones or something, because I should be wearing glasses as well whilst driving. But anyway, I have sensitive eyes. That's why I wear sunglasses a lot. But I broke down. I cried. You might think it's a minor, but at that point, it was like, because I was losing a sense of control. Like, I couldn't even make a decision over the glasses, because like my pastor would always tell me what to do, or I'd know what to choose based off the environment, like what everyone's wearing in there, so you conform. So now that I was out of the cult, I just didn't know what I liked. And that's another thing. When you come out, guys, you'll be a mess. You won't know what your fashion sense is like. Please like up the live. You won't know what hairstyle you like. You'll go through a few messy, you'll look like the gal them in the church cult, a mess. Do you know what I mean? Trying to figure out what hairstyle you want to do, what your fashion's like, what your attire. But you'll get there over time. Like I got there. Now I'm like, you know, very earthy, like bohemian, like spiritual baddie aesthetic. Do you know what I mean? So you might get me in like some really wild, like, I don't know, tie-dye, really baggy tops, and then you might just get me in a little bralette. Spiritual baddie with all my jewelry and crystals just dripping all over me, looking ethereal and majestic. You know what I mean? And that's why I love going for the older men, because the older men, they do absolutely adore me. And I always make, you know, like when I'm out, I speak loudly. And I'm like, oh, that's why I love the older generation, the older men. You know, you're so gentlemanly. I just you know, I just love your old school values. You know, I let them know I'm interested, because they might not think that I am. So I make it very clear. They you know, the older men, yeah, they know a good thing when they see it, yeah. They come from that era of quality. Yeah, they know a quality woman when they see one. All right, so this is the last one. Then we're going to move over to the influence continuum, and I'm going to break down what that model looks like in real time in these church cults. You lot are getting, do you know what? I've had 2 kids. Do you know what I mean? And breastfed both of them kids in the cult. They teach you that there is no happiness or fulfillment outside of the group. So that's how they control your emotions. Like, you'll never be happy. But do you know what? In the cult, yeah, they actually tell you that happiness is not from God. They tell you, like, they indoctrinate you and groom you to see the ministry as repetitive. Basically, that it will be boring because we're doing the same thing over and over again. And that's to win the souls, you know, because we're sacrificing. Guys, can you like the live? We're sacrificing, you know, by being here and, you know, serving the man of God, and, you know, it's a privilege and it's an honor to serve the man of God. So people literally feel like outside of the group that life cannot exist. There's no existence outside of the group. TikTok, are we liking up the live? Have I got survivors on here? Because guys, we've got to like up the live, otherwise I'm just going to go on YouTube. Come on, guys, because that gets the algorithm going. It helps to protect the space. Can we all like the live? And if you're a survivor and you're on the FYP, can I ask you to come in, please? Because they've been reporting up my live already. I've already got a related tutorial and had to move 2 accounts today. And also, if you can, if you're on an anonymous account, please come in and help us protect the space, yeah? Because I feel like in this, you know what I'm feeling like? There's more of an energy of cult trolls than there is of survivors. So survivors, please like the live so that I can get indication that the people on here are survivors, because I got about 35 people on the FYP. All right. Now I'm going to go into the latter part of Stephen Hassan's bite model. So he's got the bite model that looks at behavior, information, thought, and emotional control. And that basically talks about authoritarian control over the group. So now what we're going to move into is influence continuum. Do you think I should just stay on YouTube? Now we're going to move into influence continuum. If you're on the FYP and what I'm saying is helping you and helping you to deconstruct as a survivor, get on TikTok and like up the live, please, to show me that there are survivors that want to listen. Otherwise, I'm going to go on YouTube. Let's like up the live. I'm going to give it about 10 minutes. This is my YouTube, guys, because if in 10 minutes I'm not over like 1K, then I'm going to move over to YouTube so you can come on there if you want. Okay. All right. So the influence continuum. Basically, this is from the bite model, and this looks at constructive and destructive, healthy and unhealthy influence across 3 different stages, or 3 different levels, if you like, or 3, yeah. So it's at an individual level, it's at a leadership level, and then it's at an organizational level. So now I'm going to take you through what the influence continuum looks like when there is certain authoritarian control across these 3 different levels. You know, the batteries are running out, chair. All right. So how they will try to assert, if you're in a healthy church or a healthy environment, positive, healthy influence at an individual level looks like the person will be moving into authentic self. They'll be displaying unconditional love. There will be compassion. There will be a conscience. There will be creativity and humor, free will, and critical thinking, autonomous thinking. On the other end of the spectrum of this, where we see destructive and unhealthy influence, is when we see false cult identity. So that's when they change up their whole identity. Lucia in the car, they take on the pseudo personality of the cult leader. So they're all dressing the same, talking the same, walking the same, having the same mindset. They're all robots. You could go and ask 5 people the same question and they would all give you the same answer in a different way, but it would all be referring and referencing the cult leader and similar must-know scriptures. Conditional love. I also want to put in transactional, conditional or transactional love. You come to church on Sunday, good, well done. You are a strong Christian. You are faithful. You are loyal. You don't come. You're an orangu. And then we can bring in that positive and negative reinforcement, positive and negative, like cult tactics. And then we could look at the emotional and the thought control with that as well, wanting to control your emotions and your behaviors through transactional love. Because you know, when you come to the meetings, when you're early, when you're serving the pastor, when you're doing the right thing, when you're hanging around with the right people, when you're doing outreach, when you're doing this and that, you're pleasing to the pastor. So you get more promotions, you know, other people start to accept you into the more elitist groups. Like, it's very subtle. Hate, simple. Hateful rhetoric, misogynistic, patriarchal rhetoric, LGBTQ plus. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, demonizing single mothers, demonizing mental health, disabilities. Come on, guys, it's all in this. When I tell you Stephen Hassan is like the Albert Einstein of cult psycho ed, this is what deconstructed me and deprogrammed me. It's literally this. Like, it gives it for you, it gives it to you. It's written in black and white. It's as clear as day. That's why, because their foundations were built on sand. Yeah, it's all coming crumbling down now, the waves and the storms, because the cult psycho ed is all we need to expose your dodgy posters. Do you get what I'm saying? It's falling apart at the seams, chair. I'm literally taking it all apart by the seams. You get me? Because it's all lies. It's just psychology, baby. And I'm here to teach it. It's just psychology. You could just put AI and chat GBT now in the cut. Yeah, the doctrine. When the doctrine is when they're indoctrinating you with the doctrine, and that's the thought reform program. You got to think like the cult leader. You got to have the mindset of the cult. That's very unhealthy, because no one's got autonomy, so there's no free thought, there's no differing opinions. So people like they get age regress, they stay in a time warp. because everybody there is thinking the same. You're waiting to get knowledge from the pastor, and then there's information control. You're scared to explore other schools of thought and, you know, philosophy and different things. It's like feminism's evil, the regime is, everything's evil on the outside. So the only thing that you can trust is the prophet's book and the prophet's doctrine and the prophet's words. Solemnity, fear, and guilt. So again, fear, guilt, condemnation. They'll tell you that how they package this is conviction. The Lord will convict you, but it's condemnation, it's guilt, it's paranoia, and they get into your mind. They mentally entrap you. It's mental imprisonment through fear, control, and manipulation, and guilt. So you'll feel guilty about not being at church on Sunday. You'll feel guilty about not giving the pastor, you know, you gave him £50, you should have given him £200 because you need to get yourself a shoe for your foot, or you need to get, so it's like that type of thing. So they are controlling how you think, controlling how you spend your money. That's why things like the tithe, again, that's doctrine, that's ABUSE. Do you get what I'm saying? That's destructive, unhealthy influence at an individual level. We can also bring in the conditional or the transactional love. The ones who stand up, the ones who pay their tithe, they're seen as the spiritual sons and daughters of the house. They're seen as, you know, strong Christians that understand the word of God. They understand what God wants them to do, because will a man rob God? So if you're not tithing, you're a robber of God. So they twist and manipulate the scriptures at an individual level, and they'll be teaching you that on a one-on-one. Let's move into the leadership. So what this looks like at a constructive hub. Ooh! Look at you, you little trolls, yeah? You didn't know that your girl was a whole professor, did you? You lot have been speaking lies in these streets. How many of your pastors can come on and do this and teach this? This is professor-ish. This is what this is. Do you understand what I said? This is revolutionary. This is what this is. I'm an academic. You lot have tried to drag my name through the Ras Clark mud after I'm a whole academic. Got a first class in my youth and community work degree when I was backslidden. Did about 4 assignments the night before. I did that. No, I did it. I stayed up 24 hours. I was drinking Red Bull and coffee in university. Me, I did that. In my social work degree that my lady pastor was telling me to give up. She was telling me to refer. If it was up to her, I would have had nothing right now, no knowledge. I stuck it out. It was me during the pandemic. Whilst I was homeschooling my kids, doing a frigging Gwacenta, having over 4,000 people on my Gwacenta. And I still passed my social work masters. Are you having a bubble? And then you lot think you could come on and have some chat for me. Not looking like an addict now, am I? Not looking like an addict now, am I? Now that I'm healing. Now that I'm healing and getting closer to God and taking my meds and doing everything that I have to do. Yeah, not looking so crazy now, am I? There's people listening and there's people leaving and everyone's talking about it and it's all recorded. It's on YouTube. You lot, listen to how good God is, yeah? I know God wants me to focus more on Instagram. This is even why this is, I was probably even supposed to go on Instagram because, you know, Instagram, yeah? I got, a post has gone viral of me. Remember when I was, because if you don't know, I live with chronic health issues. So I had to go and get a synaphysin test in the hospital. And I was so weak when I went, I nearly never did it. I vlogged it. I put it up on my Instagram and that post has gone viral. Over 70,000 people have seen it. And I've got I'm getting followers, like more followers on Instagram. And Instagram is a very important social media platform for me to have because they're not on my cult and they're on TikTok, but they don't use TikTok like that. They do all their lives. All of them fake mega church cult pastors, they love Instagram. They love a fake app. Do you know what I'm saying? Going in there and, you know, living their fake lives. They love it. So that's why I think that God is opening doors for me on Insta. Right, so the leadership, let's keep focused. So at a constructive, healthy level, positive, constructive, healthy leadership will look like psychologically healthy, knows own limits, empowers individuals, trustworthy, accountable. Look at that keyword, accountable, trustworthy, autonomy, critical thinking, empowers autonomy, empowers individuality. Do you understand? Empowers, encourages critical thinking. On the opposite spectrum of this, for destructive and unhealthy leadership, what we've got is not narcissistic, psychopathic. I'm also going to put narcissistic, psychopathic, sociopathic, and Machiavellianism in there as well. Elitist, grandiose ideologies of self. So that's where we get that self-centeredness. So they love to talk about I shall arise. And they've got a Luciferian spirit. in the mega church. That's what's happened. There's a lot of people that have that. These pastors have Luciferian spirits. The Luciferian spirit is not pagans like in black and black eyeliner. So those people are some of the purest hearts. And if you took a moment to not judge them and actually talk to them, in about 5 seconds they would just start bawling from all their trauma. That's what I found whenever I've spoken to someone, and I'm not judging, but that's what I have found. Yeah. The ones that we really need to be afraid of are the Machiavellians and the Luciferians and these so-called fake men of God that are dressed, they're wolves in sheep's clothing. Yeah. Power hungry. Oh my God. If you go into a church cult and they're talking about church building, taking over territory, winning the lost at any cost, we got to say that is power hunger. That is power. They're power hungry. They're building an empire. They've got property portfolios. They want to build for what? If there's a WAR tomorrow, are your churches going to stand, bro? Do you know what I'm saying? We are the temple. Our bodies are the temple, chair. Secretive and deceptive. So these cults move like secret society. So what you'll notice is there'll be like an inner circle, people like deaconesses or, you know, people, armor bearers, they might be called in the church cult, that will follow the pastors around and whatever. And what you'll notice is that they know certain things that are going to happen in the church cult before it happens. So people will like go to these people to try and find out what's happening. There's a lot of secrecy. It's like only certain people will be around like the top pastor and allowed to go into certain corridors, certain meetings. People will get chosen to be in certain meetings. So that's where you see the clear divide. The closer you get to the pastor, the more they trust you, the more they'll start to tell you. So it's like a secret society. There's certain corridors and places that you can't go in the church and meetings that you'll never be a part of because they need to trust you. And that's where the loyalty and disloyalty doctrine comes into it, because my cult leader even has spies in the church that go around and they'll be listening to people's conversations and going and reporting back to the cult leader, because they have a surveillance and monitoring culture in these church cults where they will want to know your every move, what you're doing. Some cults take it a step further and they will be calling up members to say, why are you wearing that? Take that down off your Instagram or take that down off your TikTok. So you got married pastors who are a good 10 years older than these young girls that are like 16, 17, and they're preying their Snapchat and their TikTok and their Instagram so hard that they've taken time out of their busy day whilst their wife and their toddler is at home. He's got a million trillion things to do, but he's still concerned about the 17-year-old who's wearing inappropriate clothes. So there's a lot of projection. The men are thirsty. A lot of them are preds, and a lot of them like young gal in the church cult. That's where all the preds go. The PDFs from the ends, they'll be going to the nearest church. So they claim absolute authority. Absolute authority. And again, I'm going to link this to the loyalty and disloyalty doctrine. Dag, literally, you have to see him as the infallible truth. If you don't see him as the ultimate authority, and I'll bring this back to at the individual, destructive, unhealthy level, when you look at the doctrine, you have to receive the man as a prophet. You have to receive him as daddy. You have to receive his doctrine as the ultimate truth, and you have to accept everything. If you don't, then you're seen as the enemy. So then we've got that black and white thinking, us versus them. At an organizational level, constructive and healthy leadership looks like this: egalitarianism, checks and balances, informed consent. And egalitarianism is just like free thought, freedom, individuality. Am I right, guys? Informed consent. So giving people, putting information out there for people to make informed decisions, you know, where there's informed consent, individuality, diversity, means create end, encourages growth. And I think that says they can leave freely at any time. So on the destructive, unhealthy end of the spectrum, it will look like elitism. Elitism's a huge one. In my cult, the cult leader has even taken it a step far to get like all of the high-ranking bishops and reverend ministers to marry each other's, you know, their kids to marry each other, trying to keep it in the cult like blue blood. They think they're royalty, and there's a lot of nepotism and it's like it's an oligarchy. There's so many of these words: egalitarianism, oligarchy, nepotism. I get confused. Authoritarian structure. The structure will be very authoritarian. It will be like a pyramid scheme. It will be like from a top down level. Do you get it? So they'll use scriptures like the anointing comes from Aaron's bed. So it comes from the top down. And that is to feed the narcissistic supply and the grandiose ideologies that the narcissistic cult leader has. There is they are deceptive and manipulative. Nothing's transparent. Their finances are not transparent. There's no transparency around. And it's almost like that the cult leader is very mysterious. It's like you know about him, but you don't know. They keep themselves very private to seem like an avatar, like a supernatural being, and that is how you start to look at them. I was so obsessed with Dag when he came one time. I thought there was like light around him, but again, I'm in mind art practice. I've been rehearsing all night, There's I'm starved, I haven't eaten, I'm fasting. So you know, you just become, it even starts to play with your eyesight. But because you're in such a hyper spiritual, fanatic, radical state, you'll think you're actually seeing things. They clone people. So at an unhealthy, destructive organizational level and relationship level, they will clone people. So they will build relationships with you to clone you, so that you will be a clone of them. And the cult leader has a doctrine called allos, and it means the same of a different kind. So he's basically put in that book that he wants to clone people. Dag Heward Mills believes that if there's more people around the world that thought, acted like him, the world would be a better place. That is absolute narcissism. If that is not if that is not a narcissist, tell me what is. That's why they want to clone people. Ends justifies means. So they don't care who they're hurting in the process. They don't care if that single mother gives her last £100 and she can't feed her 3 children and they're all going to starve in the house. He doesn't care. You should be like, you know, the prophet. Who was it that gave Prophet Elijah her last oil, and then God came and blessed her? Do you remember? They'll bring in stuff like that. These people are wild. They're wild. She used her last oil. She believed in God. She trusted in God. Give your last. The Lord will. They don't care. They're narcissists. They got no emotion. They just want to get that bag. They just want to get to the bag. And imagine it becomes addictive for them, guys. Imagine making all of this money. It becomes like an adrenaline, how much money they can raise. Do you understand? And also when you're speaking to them and then they're like, say like someone comes in and they're like, oh yeah, no, I don't work. My husband, I'm a stay-at-home mum. My husband earns more than enough. So, you know, I don't work, or I work part-time. You know, my husband's the main provider. They'll be like, oh, she's got money. And they start to look at their members like different, like put them in different class brackets and put them in different, you know, as to who can give offerings and, you know, spending more time with the members that have more money. Yeah. When we look at scriptures like widow's mite, the widow gave her last pound, and God saw it and honored her because it was her last. And that whole thing is, it's not about how much you give. It's like the intention. It's about the heart, because God sees the heart. They dismiss all of those scriptures. There's no way anyone could tell me today, if one woman goes up and gives £1, the pastor will probably slap her. What is this? This is embarrassment. You come to give me £1. You know, like a Pharisee, like an old king. Like they're going on like they're Jesus in the Bible. They're like the King Herod and the Pharisees of the Bible. It's giving Saul insanity. It's giving Pharaoh. It's giving King Herod. Do you understand what I'm saying? But when the person comes with a £100,000, they'll be calling out his name. They'll be giving him a reception. He'll get to go and meet Dad. But the woman who gave her last pound, she won't get to meet Dad because her offering's not seen as good enough. These times she gave her last. And this is the state of the mega church, guys. This is why I'm telling you to keep your backside in your yard. Do you understand what I'm telling you? Because money, I don't want to say money is the root of all evil, but it's always connected. So I do think that there's truth to that old proverb, that money is the root of all evil. And definitely in this case, because that's all they care about. I'm telling you, that's all they care about. During the pandemic, I saw it, man. All they cared about was targets, numbers, offering, getting the people to give. That was the main priority. I'm telling you, they don't care about anything else. They really, really don't. And the last couple for today, I'm going to go and take a break, get myself some dinner, and then I'm going to come back. Come back with your snacks, guys. I'm going to let's come back with our snacks. Let's come back with our drink. And then I'm going to give you a taster of what's coming up next. YouTube, I will be back in a couple of hours. You've got me a lot. But you know what? How am I going to go on Instagram, guys? Oh, I'm going to have to charge my phone. Yeah, I'll bring the charger out of the car and I'll charge my phone. Because the kids have taken, do you know these kids have taken all my plugs? No, let me get on to the last one, because you know what? I always get distracted because of my ADHD, and this is what makes it hard for me to just teach. Let me just get this last one in. All right. So for the organizational and relationship level, on the other end of the spectrum, at a destructive, unhealthy end, we've got preserves own power. So that's when like Dag, he doesn't want anyone to be greater than him. He doesn't want anyone to outshine him. Like cult leaders, they're threatened of gifted people. And he's even got in his book that you should beware of gifted people, because it's like they think that they're more gifted or anointed than you and whatever. So they try to like break people down and keep the giftings, like control it and keep it at arm's length. And what you'll notice is the real anointed people, the real lovers of God, they won't be choosing them because they've got they're EVIL. They're working with spiritual powers of darkness. So when the EVIL people come in and they masquerade it like a mask, it's like they'll still be choosing them because it's like God's left them to their EVIL. That's why I'm saying it's not safe. I'm trying to warn people. I'm shouting from the mountaintops, man. Stay away. The love of money. Money is neutral, allows people to be their true selves. Yeah, and show their AS as well. And the last one for today before I take my break, no legitimate reason to leave. No legitimate reason to leave. And do you know what else I would say? Because there's no legitimate reason to leave, that's why they drag your name through the mud. That's why they'll be speaking lies, speaking trash on your name, saying that you're an addict. They were saying I was a druggie. They were saying that I was you know, taken class A. That's what they were saying. They were lying about me, Chair. All I've ever done in my life is green. That's it. That's all I've ever done in my life is green. I've never done none of that. Because, you know, remember that girl Leah Bates who took the thing back in the day, and her name was Leah. My mom was like, you see, look, Leah did it. And I always felt like if I'd done something more than green, that I would just go off, like I wouldn't be able to handle it. And trust me, I've been offered a lot of things in my day, Chair, especially when I was in Nay Ray, how can you come on saying find peace and all your titties are out? How are you gonna come on and I've just sent you an invitation? You want to come on and speak because you're coming on and you're telling me to find peace. I've gone on your profile picture and it's your whole top half, and you're coming in as a Christian. All of you lot are hoes anyway in the mega church. You're all a bag of jezzies in there. Do you know what I mean? Coming up thinking that they got some chat for me. Do you know what I'm saying? All your whole this whole thing is out, and you're coming online to tell me to find peace. You need to go and find some modest clothes. That's what you need to do. You need to go and find some modest clothes. You need to go and find some scriptures that tell you to dress modestly and go and put on some purity garments. That's what you need to do. Stop. She's not even adorning herself with jewels and whatever. She's not adorning herself with nothing because she ain't wearing a damn thing. Do you know what I'm saying? And then these gal want to come and have something to tell me. You can't come and tell me nothing, baby. Because when I was doing up church cult, I was a practical nun. And on that note, I'm going to go and have some time, guys. Because even just teaching this stuff, it is quite triggering because I then start to have memories of PTSD. So I'm going to go and make myself a little bit of dinner. And I'm going to be back, YouTube. I'll be back in an hour or so. Okay? Love y'all. Don't worry, I'm fine. I'm fine. They just pee me off. I'm fine. Absolutely fine.